Yes.
1 minute. Yep. Okay. So I would say good morning, good evening, and uh, good morning, good evening for everyone here. I'm not sure about the time zone from where you guys are joining. So uh, we are here to understand certain things about DevNet, and we will go through uh, certain aspects of DevNet and what exactly we are basically going to explore here in terms of DevNet. We are also going to set up our agenda, what exactly we are going to achieve out of this class. And there will be, it's not going to be a session where uh, you just go and, just listen to it and uh, you will later work on something. I'll be asking questions. I can see whoever is participating here. I'll be asking questions, not like a teacher, but more like something about what you think about it and what's your thought on certain things. Because uh, before you understand something that what we are trying to achieve here in this session, you should also know that why we are trying to achieve something here. So should I give a minute for if anyone else has left to join, or should I start? Or maybe I'll give a minute, maybe 2 minutes. We will wait till 9:05 and then we will start session. So everyone should be ready. If you want to make any notes, particular notes about these things, get ready with your pen, pencil, and notebooks, because I'm going to tell you a lot about um, the industry relevant things that basically uh, happens in terms of DevNet world, and how you are going to particularly use them in your day-to-day life. Even though you might end up working on something like server side, might be end up something doing something like DevOps side, or maybe something on the networks automation side. All these things we are going to cover is going to help you in some way. So let's wait for 1 more minute and then we'll start.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So all right, here we go. It's 9:05. I'm assuming everyone is here. So before we start, can anybody of you can confirm, like I would say everyone should give us a thumbs up in chat that you can hear me properly.
Yeah,
Okay, let's get started. And so how we are going to start this session and how exactly we are going to proceed, I would like to explain that first. So I'll be using Whiteboard, which is an application called Microsoft Whiteboard. If you know this, it's just like we have whiteboard sessions. You might have attended several whiteboard sessions before, so it's just nothing new. It's the same thing. I prefer this, and I would be I'm not going to explain more on the slide point of slides and other things. It will be more on the whiteboard so that I can explain you what exactly we are doing here, and I can draw things the way I want, and I can answer your questions as well. So let me share my screen. So I hope you guys can see my screen.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
Srinivas.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to move chat aside and then let's start. Okay. Just give me one moment. Okay, so why we are here and what exactly is DevNet? Why do we need DevNet? I'm not entirely sure about the current background of you people, but in the end, the way network industry and DevOps industry and application industry, I would say, it's going, everyone should know everything of everything. So now it's going to be a little bit confusing. So let me explain you what I'm trying to say. Let's talk about something. Let me take pen here. Okay, this is going to be so let me do like this. So let's talk about something like a company, which is basically a bank. A bank. So what a bank is doing? A bank basically gives you a loan. A bank basically processes a lot of application in terms of money and in terms of application for different financial use. So in a bank, when you go, there are different departments. So there would be a department that is handling their IT department, and they might be saying my network is not working. So there would be a network engineer. They're saying I do have this application where this application basically where you enter name, date of birth, bank up like loan amount, and they are adding loan amounts. Now there's another person who's managing database. So when you add something on the software, network is sending those information to database and it's getting saved there. So now with all those things, there are certain times when there is a conjunction required. There is an intersection part required where a network person should know how application person is adding data, and when this field which is where data is getting added like name, how the data is going to go to a database, and then when you want to fetch the report, like who was this person sending this, who took 5 lakh rupees loan or 10 lakh rupees loan, you should get exact and right information. So so the whole idea behind explaining this small example is that something like a bank also need collaboration between an IT team's different people who are basically expertise in their own department. So application team person might be having 10 years of experience, but he has to understand how exactly network works so that in case of any issues, he can help network person to solve them together. So what exactly and where exactly industry is going is they want you to study DevNet. They want you to know DevNet. And when we talk about DevNet, you can just break it. You will understand it more like Dev and Net, where you are basically going to understand how developer works, and you are going to basically network engineer. Or I would say I would not use this work network engineer. I would say more of someone who works on the network side of it. You could be a database person. You could be someone who is into server administration. You could also be someone who's basically a DevOps engineer and wants to know more of a network engineering because he's already aware about development part. So with DevNet, it was basically introduced by Cisco around 4 to 5 years back in 2019, 18 time, 2019, and their target was to bring an advancement on all network engineers so that they can also contribute towards development of development, or you can say in a simple word, they can also contribute towards tool development for small network tasks. Now, what exactly and why exactly the need is there for a network engineer to understand development? It's really important for them to understand, because when you are going to manage a device, suppose, for example, suppose I'm assuming that you guys are aware what exactly is a router, what exactly is a switch. So I'm just putting here a router here, and now if you see, it's a router. Now if someone says go configure a route here, or someone says let's check what exactly the interfaces are configured and what exactly the interface state here is right now. So you can say, okay, this is the router and I have another router, and we can connect them together. And at certain point of time, the link has gone down, and someone said, okay, the link is down. Uh, how to fix it? So someone has to go log in there and check the link is down. But how did you get this information? You got this information because you got an alert. When you got an alert, how did this alerting system got to know that there's an interface down? That means someone somewhere have configured something who is constantly looking at that interface that is connecting these two routers. That means there would be a person who knows development, who also knows network part of it, or maybe he doesn't know, he has taken help from someone, and excuse me, and now he has configured something so that as soon as the interface goes down, the basically you get alert. But is this enough? Think about it. You have a data center. I mean, basically, I'll tell you one example that I have been in. Around 7 or 8 years, 6 or 7 years back, when I was managing around 30 to 35 data centers, and every data center had, you can say, router wise. I would not count all those devices. I'm telling you only in terms of router, so that you can have visualization that how big it was. Every data center has more than six, you can say, three pair of edge devices. So you can say there are so many routers connected to each other in a mesh format, and in a different format as well. So basically, for now, you can understand a mesh format means every router was connected to the router, and at certain point of time there were links down, there were BGP hosts going down, and there were certain routers getting going to hung state due to memory issues, due to utilization, due to CPU issues, and all those things. So managing that was tough, because we there were alerting system configured, but there are times when there was a gap between alerting system, and we were not able to figure out how to solve it. So if so one can answer it like, okay, what's the problem? Let's go to application person, the person who has configured earlier, like, the link was down. So let's go to that person and say, just do this for me as well. So that person can do the same thing that he has done before. But is it gonna work? Because there will be a time where you know what to configure, where you know how better you can get the alerting system. What does mean that we make the alerting system better? That means, imagine you have a router which has, basically you have 40 routers. I'm just taking an example of 40 routers, and these 40 routers have this uptime varying everywhere. It's like one router uptime has 4 hours, one router has 5 years, and another router has 3 months, 6 years. And now all those routers are basically ASR 1000K. I'm just taking an example here, ASR 1000K. Now, what exactly is the problem here? Problem is, your one of those router which is 5 year old may have a memory issue and you don't know it yet. So in any company, you can have this. There could be a standard that, okay, keep looking at the router uptime, and as soon as the router crosses 3 years mark, let's plan for a reboot just before it starts showing us more issues in terms of memory, in terms of high CPU utilization, in terms of packet drops. Let's make a standard where we should be just restarting the laptop, starting the router. So how do you do that? For that, you should be configuring something where every router should be listed, every router's model number is listed, every router's version is listed, and also its uptime is listed. You can add more things there. For example, you can also add what model that belongs to. You can also add certain interface configuration if you need to. So now, if you go and collaborate with an application person with this to do the same thing, there will be multiple meetings required. Then application person can only create up to certain extent because he doesn't know the way you do the network part. And also, as a network engineer, as a good network engineer, and I would say someone has who has worked in operations background where you have to support networking. In that case, okay, you will say, okay, if I configure something like this, that means it's gonna help me, it's gonna help the whole team, and let me build it. So this let me build it brings you to DevNet, where you should understand why a network engineer should know development part, and why it is required for every network engineer or every system engineer, or you can say every platform engineer, to learn development part of networking. In this part, you will not be limited just to configure routers or just to monitor routers. You will be you will have this chance to explore how how basically you can make web-based tools, how basically you can make softwares, and how you can write even smallest scripts to get certain things done. Upcoming sessions, when we are going to talk about more about Python for network engineering, I'll be showing you few demos, what exactly are the use cases in terms of.
चुप हो जा बेटा, चुप हो जा सोनू बेटा, चुप हो जा। पगलियों ने बेटा नहीं खेल उसके साथ में, पगलियों ने एक नंबर की भी।
Jazz, can you turn off your mic?
Okay, give me a second. Yeah, so where was I? So I was discussing about why exactly we need it. Now let's move something towards what exactly we are going to get out of this session, which is going to be your developer workstation setup. Give me just 1 minute. Let me connect my another uh, machine here. So another monitor here, so I can show you. I can start explaining more about developer system. Just give me 1 second. I have to stop sharing before I start connecting to the other machine. 1 second. So guys, by this time, do you anyone have any questions, like why we are uh, getting, why we really want to, why we should understand DevNet? Anyone, any questions?
So, yeah, I do. Thank you. I want to know like the how SD-WAN is fit in the DevNet. Like, I mean, the SD-WAN has all those alarm system and the automation, everything there, right?
Yeah.
So,
So yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
go on, go on, go on, go on. Finish your question. Yeah.
No, that was my question. I'm good.
Okay. So when you know SD-WAN, do you know what exactly is the overlay technology used in SD-WAN? Can you name the technology? So basically, yeah, go on.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, yeah. So basically, if you see SD-WAN, you can have several use cases depending upon your company's existing monitoring system. If you want to see the different tunnel systems, if you want to see different IPsec tunnel statuses for different whatever you have built, that depends that how exactly you're using SD-WAN. If you want to basically monitor what is going from what side, and you do not have any uh, application development, basically a tool built up already, so you can use in that case as well. So basically in terms of SD-WAN, you can have several use cases depending upon your company's existing monitoring system. If you want to basically monitor what is going from what side, and you do not have any application development, basically a tool built up already, so you can use in that case as well. So basically in terms of SD-WAN, you can have multiple use cases. And if you let me give you a better example in terms of so right now you can consider it as, if you want to see tunnel statuses, what is when exactly, since how much time the tunnel is up. Or also you can create an event based monitoring where if anything is going down you should get an alert. So like I said, it's not always creating something or configuration. It's something where you you can create as per your requirement as well. Give me 1 second, my other monitor is not getting on. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for explaining.
So we will get to it. We will get to it where we are going to configure. We are going to discuss few use cases in terms of this.
Yeah, sure. No, I just asked question because I mean,
Yeah,
since
no
you are
worries, no worries.
restarting
Go
the
go.
system, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
thank you.
Please, please. So basically, right now we will discuss more towards use cases as soon as we go forward. And so when you talk about SD-WAN, it already have an orchestrator. It already mm, gives you an GUI part to show you, give you a lot of things, but it does have some drawbacks in terms of, I won't say that it's a drawback, but I would say more to develop in terms of SD-WAN. And there are certain places where you can create your own dashboard to collaborate everything. For example, if you have SD-WAN, you have SD access, and then in that case, what you can do, you can basically take basically data from SD-WAN, and then you send it to that dashboard. And then same way, you have an MPLS network where you have basically another path, and you can say, okay, we have these devices. You can also send that to a dashboard, and then you can have a central what basically you can monitor as a, basically you can have a central dashboard where you will have SD-WAN as well, you can have MPLS system as well, or maybe you have an SD access that can also be implemented there. One more good use case would be if you have multiple SD-WANs. For example, if you have a Fortinet, you have Cisco Viptela. So if you want to gather those information into one place, you need to make, basically you need to send some request so that you can get a response, and those response you can turn into basically into a dashboard thing.
Yeah,
so
good
so
to
we
know.
will get to the use, yeah, we'll get to the use case of SD-WANs too, because you asked this question, so I will definitely include that into a use case section of it when it comes to the Python networking part. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Okay, so now let's talk about the agenda for today, and before that we will set up what exactly we are trying to do here. So agenda here is to maintain a developer workstation for network engineers or platform engineers. And why we are doing it, let me, where is that? Yeah, okay. Let me clear the board here. So what we are doing here and what is developer workstation, why we need this. So when so basically everyone knows what a software developer basically works, is software dev. So developer had, and they keep certain tools, and these tools basically help them to develop softwares or web-based tools, or help them write scripts as per their project. For that they have to prepare their workstation according to their needs. And to give you an example, for example, a person who is writing a web-based application, he needs something like, where exactly it is going to be deployed to. For example, suppose he's writing an application for Mac system, so he does need a Mac test system. A Mac test system, basically you can say Mac test system, or you can say a Macintosh operating system where he is going to test it. But what if that person does not have a Mac? How he can create something for Mac on another system which is not basically a Mac? Because same time that developer might be asked to do something for Linux as well, and same thing he might be doing for Windows as well. So a developer should know how he build his own developer workstation without disturbing his own uh, comfort of using an operating system. So the idea is very clear that you have to have a machine. That machine should have all the tools required, for that particular task. Every job has its own set of tools that is required to do basically their job. For dev, I'm going to talk more about DevNet specific, what exactly we have right now and how we are going to go forward with that setup. So currently, how we are doing it, we are using there are different people, different companies use differently, but in the end, they have one thing called jump host. Jump host. So this jump host is a machine where, suppose you go to a company and they say, we have these routers, and these routers are basically connected to each other, and you have to log into these routers, and you have to tell if the BGP has gone down or any routing protocol has gone down, or at least just log in there and see, show me what exactly its model number, which is a simplest case of a query, which is, what exactly is the model number and what exactly is the uptime. So for these two things, what you would do, you will have a terminal software. There's so many. There is, I will take few names. We have mobile terms, we have secure CRT, we have simple putty. So what they do, you go and there is a SSH option there. You put the IPs there, you enter, and you log in there. And there are two different ways to log in. There is one way which is called telnet, and there is another way called SSH. So we are not going to get into telnet and SSH right now, but I'm telling you how we are doing it. We are logging in there and we are reaching out to the routers, and we are telling that, okay, we have logged into the router and this is the show version. I'm taking an example of Cisco devices, show version. With the show version, you are getting what exactly you're getting? You are getting model number, and you are also getting uptime. So now this is what we have right now. Currently, we have a system which has a terminal software, and you're logging in there. But when it comes to DevNet, it's not sufficient. We need certain things where we could basically make our system better in terms of your software development. So there are certain applications that we have to install, and we do have to understand how they function. Okay, give me a minute. Let me turn on one of my machines so that I can basically give you a demo first, and then we can go for it. So what exactly I have opened? This is something. There is a company called VMware. They have these hypervisor systems, or you can say softwares, and these softwares let you create multiple machines into a virtualized environment, and you can control how they can connect with each other, and you can also control how these machines are going to interact with internet, and you can also build, basically make your own sandbox system inside these hypervisors. Okay, so while it starts, so yeah, so what is this and what exactly I have opened? Before I go further in this and dwell into the technicality of how exactly we are going to create a terminal, create this developer workstation, we are going to prepare it. I want to ask if anyone is here who doesn't know what exactly is VMware Workstation, and anyone is here who doesn't know how to get it or how to get a version of it for free so that you can install in your own laptop to test it or to test certain things. Anyone here? Okay. Let me see the chat if I have missed anyone. Okay. So So I'll go from here. I'm assuming that everyone is aware what exactly is VMware Workstation and how to get it for free. But I would like to explain it because it's good to know if anyone is not aware or being shy in asking here. So so for that, what you have to do is it's just a small thing that I'm going to tell you. You have to just go and type on your browser, which is VMware Player. With VMware Player, you will find this first link. You can just go and click. VMware Player is absolutely free for you to use it. You can download it. Once you have download, you can basically deploy the machines you are going to work upon. So currently I'm using another version of it, which is VMware Workstation, which is basically an enhanced version of same thing, which is called VMware that I showed you, VMware Player. And with this also, the only difference is here in the same GUI, you see multiple machines here, and there are certain other aspects of it. But in short, you can understand that for to start, you only need to download your Workstation Player, and you can start your local virtualization there. You can add your machines there, and you can start your sandbox. Anyone, any question?
No, sir.
Okay, so let's start. So any first aspect of building your operating, basically a workstation, is what exactly you want to achieve. Going to take one example, and this example is going to be someone like me. I will not take any example of something where of any of you. I will just take something that how I started and how I build my own system, because the way I'm building my own system, do currently I can do everything that a software developer do in terms of uh, not in terms of creating tools, but in terms of the getting there where you can create any tool you want. Or if any software developer coming to you saying that, can you give me your machine for some time, I want to work on something, he won't need anything extra, he won't need anything extra tool to basically go about it. So how we start and what exactly do we need? So I'm going to take an example. I'm a network engineer. I'm going to take an example of a network engineer, a network engineer's workstation. Workstation. So what exactly do we have right now? We do have nothing but just a terminal. Terminal. So currently, whoever is using, if you have a Windows laptop, if you click here and you search terminal, you'll find a terminal app. In a terminal app, you will find something like this. What we do from here, we can do a lot of things here. We can do a ping. We can do a ping to 1.1.1.1, and we get response. That means we are connected to internet, and we are we are basically set to connect to any of the devices which is not in my network, maybe some other network, some other data center. So this is the first thing that you have, which is a terminal. But it is not sufficient, because we are going to go beyond a network engineer, but we are going towards the development side of it. So first thing that you want to do is what exactly you want to do. So I'm going to take a task in my hand, and the task is that we do have a pair of routers, and we want to automate we want to basically make these routers connectivity visible, not by logging into it, but seeing into a dashboard. So that's my task. So the idea is, first, so you can say task is create a dashboard, display display two routers, Now, when I say display two routers, that means it's parameters. What are the parameters we want to display? Maybe we want to show uptime, and we also want to see the version of it. Can we see more? Can we see more than that? Yes, you can do it. So in case you have multiple routers, you have multiple edges, and you want to see their uptime all at one place, you can get it. But if you want to make a dashboard where you want to see all the advertised routes, all the basically received routes, that you can also see. The only thing that you have to understand is what is exactly your task at hand. And currently we'll start with this, and with small modification we can get whatever information we need just with this setup. And as we go further in sessions, you will see a demo also, how we are basically creating a small dashboard using these small softwares and using the same developer workstation. Now now we know what exactly we are doing. Before doing any task in hand or setting up a basically a developer workstation, you should know why we are doing it. So our why is basically clear here. We know that what we want and why we are basically doing it. It's clear. Anyone here doesn't understand that, or any contradiction saying that no, I don't want to see it, or I don't understand a need for seeing this information on dashboard? Anyone is here who is not able to visualize that why do we even need to see the uptime? Why do we need to see the version? Because this is going to be just a small use case that is going to be that's going to become a web tool, or that's going to become your dashboard kind of thing that you can always display. And maybe later, if you talk more about certain things like CI/CD, we can always understand what to, like, basically we can basically do a event based thing. For example, if device is gone uptime, it can give you some uptime is more than 5 years, it can give you an emails, it can give you a SMS, or it can give you a red signal on your dashboard saying that this router has crossed something, or this router has gone, uh, the CPU utilization has reached 90% in last, like two times 90% in last 30 minutes, so let's do something about it, something like that. So anyone has any question and saying that, no, we should not do it, we can always log in and check things. Good. So if no one has any question, we'll go further, and we will first we'll do our first thing to understand how we develop our own workstation and how developers work. So now, before we start, I'm going to going to tell you something, that there is a difference how developer works and how network engineer works. For a network engineer, you will always have a laptop with you. With this laptop, maybe if you're working from home, this is your screen, you have something putty here installed, you're logging in, and then you are reaching there. To go there, you have a VPN setup so that you can work from home. And this VPN let you connect to your, basically, suppose this is your data center, so this VPN lets you connect here through tunnel, and then you logging through here and you're connecting it. Developer doesn't work that way. They work similarly, but they doesn't work that way. Basically, developer work in collaboration. Network engineer does not work in collaboration. Network engineers try to troubleshoot the issue that they have. Developer basically build things. Now, what exactly do they build? For example, if I say there are two developers, developer one, and we have developer two. So the way developer works, this developer will say, okay, let's do something. Let's divide the task. We have this big task where we are going to log into two routers. We are going to get something out of it, and we are going to create a dashboard. So developer one will say, let's divide this task into two parts, one and two. Task number one is going to be getting the data, getting the data. Task number two is putting it on dashboard, putting it on dashboard. Now, when it comes to network engineering tasks, we do not divide tasks like that. We might say, okay, let's troubleshoot. And what if this is a VPN connection? We can say, okay, network engineer one, you go and troubleshoot and check if IPsec, your basically, if your IPsec tunnel is there, go check if phase one is up, or you can say phase two is up. So, but the same engineer can do the same task, because the same person is going to do, it's a step that you follow. You check your phase one, you check your phase two. If everything is going right, the third step will be to go and check if the traffic is traversing through it. But in terms of developers, they don't work that way. They work with module, and they work with in collaboration. For collaboration work, they need a place where they can understand the status of it. So these people, these two devs, dev 1 and dev 2, they want to work as one person, and they want to make sure that this person, if this person, what exactly is the status of this person, and what exactly is status of this person. Because once this person is getting the data and the dashboard is ready, they can start the integration between these two things. As soon as the integration is done, that will be their third task, that will be integration. So again, don't take these steps as your, you can say, like, these are fixed steps. I'm just giving an example. I'm going to contradict myself several times because I'm just trying to make you understand what exactly and how exactly developers collaborate and why they should collaborate. And in my experience, this is the place where we as a network engineer struggle, that we don't know what is the right way to collaborate, and how, what is the, what is the how exactly you show that you're working. Because as a network engineer, you can always go and check certain things. Phase 1 is up, phase 2 is done, update the ticket, phase 1 is done, this is the status, I'm done. But here it doesn't work that way. There's certain different parameters that a developer should know and a network developer should learn in terms of being there. Now we know that, a network engineer and a dev network engineer, how exactly he's going to be different. And I'm just going to repeat it again. Dev network engineer is just troubleshooting. Dev network engineer is troubleshooting and also making life easier by creating few tools, so that next time when he's going to troubleshoot phase 1 and phase 2, without logging to the device, he can go and see phase 1 is up and phase 2 is down, and this is the error message I'm getting. So without logging to the device, if tunnel has gone down, you can already see the phase 1 and phase 2 status. Nothing else that you need, and nothing else can save more time than that. Now, anyone, any question?
No, sir, not now.
Okay, so I hope everyone is getting it. Everyone is getting the gist of it, why exactly a dev network engineer should exist, and why exactly a network engineer should understand the collaboration part the way developers do. And that also that also gives a freedom of creating something that you understand, and it's very difficult for another developer to understand. Okay, please go on mute. I'm not sure. Please go on mute, and if whenever you have a question, just unmute yourself. Okay, so now first step of creating a developer workstation, and we will talk more about developer workstation, what exactly that is. So like I was saying earlier, as a network engineer, you have a laptop and you connect through VPN and you connect to data center. And then sometimes you connect to your laptop, but most of the time when you connect through VPN to your data center, to basically your data center, in your data center or somewhere, it depends on where exactly you're working, they always set a jump host. Now I want someone to answer me that why do we need jump host? Why do you think jump host is actually needed, or we can just not use jump host at all? Because anyway we are going to log in with our with our laptop, log into the devices. Basically here we have two routers that we want to check the show version and show uptime, basically uptime things. So can anyone just unmute yourself and tell why? And if if you're not aware about jump host, you can go ahead with that as well, that I'm not aware about jump host. So I want someone to tell me something about jump host and why do we need them.
Yeah, as I think, like as you said earlier, like the SSH and Telnet, it only give you the options to see and visualize, but the job host might give you the options where you can do a communicate. Like, let's say if you need to configure something and get implement on the router or switch, you can do that. That's my understanding, but I did not use the job host yet, so
Okay,
I'm not
okay.
sure.
Anyone else? So let me tell you something.
Maybe
Yeah, go
because
on.
of size,
Size of what?
like the size they allow like greater amount of data.
Okay, so let me tell you how to think over it. Whenever you have something like, in any company, when you go and you see a device, just think about why this device exists. Suppose you have 50 devices in your system, in your company, and the why behind your 50 devices, you will never get stuck into any kind of operation work or any kind of designing work. Think about jump host. Now I will take 2 minutes and I will explain what exactly is jump host, because this is really important for you to understand, so that we can talk about workstation. Jump host is a machine that your company basically installs in your data center, or a place from where it can give access to all data centers. Suppose your DC1, DC2, DC3, and DC4. And it's very easy to manage. Why? Because it's basically, it gives you a security sense as well. When it comes to communicating through devices, you have to manage just one communication, that is your jump host subnet to data center subnet. Now again, different companies have different kind of implementation. Different companies have different kind of architecture, but the reason behind having a jump host is very simple. Reason number one, it gives you security. You can securely log into the devices, and you only have to maintain bunch of jump hosts. Basically, jump host is not all never a one jump host. They are always bunch of jump hosts. That depends like where exactly that data center exists, and you might have a hub to spoke kind of
Uh,
locations. Yeah.
Srinivas, sorry, I'm disturbing you.
Yeah.
Actually, we want to know what is the actually jump host. Jump host is the machine or it is the application? Can you clear it?
Yeah, please. Thanks for this question. So jump host is something like this. Jump host is a computer, jump host is a server, jump host is a virtualized machine, which have a terminal, and it has access to all the devices for you to log in. So to answer your question, yes, jump host is a server 99.9% of the cases. It's a server, and I would say most of the cases a Linux server, due to certain management related and uh, what you call it, maintainability. So usually it's more of a Linux server, and it's just like we have terminal here. I can basically go and ping basically 8.8.8.8, and I'm going to get response or not. Or I can I can basically go and do certain things like SSH. I will also share some of the devices that you can always log in. I do have them, but I will share in some time that you can always log in from your machine as well. So to answer your question, your jump host is a server that lets you log into all the devices, but that jump host is not your local machine. So your local machine can be a jump host in certain cases. It's like the currently the way I'm working right now, my machine is my jump host. That's against different kind of security privileges. But most of the cases where we have a jump host, like people have jump host, it's somewhere region based machine. Basically, a server is set up, and from that server, access has been given to all data center, to all the devices, and they can be accessed. There's one more benefit of having jump host is sometimes different devices use different kind of keys. We will talk about keys, how exactly we manage keys, and how exactly we have to add and remove those keys to log into certain routers, and how to fix them. So in case suppose you have a new device, for example, you have Nexus 9K, which is recently launched. For example, I'm just saying it's launched long back, but what if they have a new version launched and it requires a different kind of SSH key to log in. So your old machine, or maybe someone has really old laptop, he has to go and change his own system's keys, and you might mess up certain things that now you can log into the Nexus 9K, but now other things have stopped working. So what exactly happens, there's if you have a jump host, you have to maintain your keys with that host, and you are good to go to log into the devices. That gives you a better network operation support, where you can always just make sure that everything is available from that particular jump host, and you are set. There's another reason to have jump host, basically to a jump server. What if you have a network team of 10 people, and now you have a job that every morning whoever comes to office first at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, that person has to run a Python script, and that Python script basically logs into the all the routers and gives you a response if of their management IPs, and make creates a uh, basically creates two folder. One folder the device reachable, other folder device not reachable, or you can say two text files, device reachable, device not reachable. So every morning that when you come in, you have to either log into all devices, maybe 400 devices, and check whichever is reachable or not, or you can just run a simple script and that simple script gives you output. So having that simple script on your machine is a very good thing, but having that on jump host gives you a central control for everyone, whichever is favorable, whichever, everything has its pros and cons. So I won't say that having a centralized system to run script is good or bad, but we will talk about it. We will talk about it. What are different pros and cons of having a jump host for centralized script running and having a jump host to log into certain devices. So, did you get your answer? What exactly jump host? It's a server.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah, right.
server at a remote location or region based thing where you can log into different devices, and then you can also you won't have to care much about that your internet is not working or something might be wrong at your key side that you're not able to router, because a router might be updated and keys might be changed, and then you have to make sure a lot of changes at your side as well. So it's just a server at the side. Anyone, any question?
So it's kind of like a
Yeah.
terminal server where it's all everything configured accordingly to
Yes.
access all the
Yes.
data.
Yes.
Sorry,
Yes.
all the router and switches. So does that jump host also work on the machines as well, like the server and Windows machines, kind of those?
Let me show you. Come again. Ask the question again. Ask the question again.
No, my concern is like I understand like all the routers are configured to the jump host so that you can access, but does that work with the server and the Windows machine as well? That's my question.
Okay, so let me show you something and you will have your answer. So I'm
Sure.
logging to a basically website which is basically Cisco's uh, DevNet website, and I want you, because you ask questions on the sandbox, basically this developer workstation site, so you will have, okay, doesn't have my password saved, strange. And everyone here should log in or sign up to this website, because we are going to use this a lot. I was supposed to tell by end of this session, like towards the end of this session, but it's good that we're starting. So I will tell you more about how to launch it, how to look into it, and how different things work here. So why I'm going to do it, I'm going to search for something where you will see. I hope this is not 26 April. Yeah, today is not 26 April. Maybe XR, iOS XR. I think they have moved it. So iOS XE, yeah, this one. So this is a website where you get to, this is Cisco provided uh, sandbox. And what exactly is sandbox? Sandbox is basically your test network system. You can understand that way. It's basically your lab. It's called sandbox. Every time you hear this word sandbox, that means it's not a production system. It's something that people are using as a testing machine or a testing data center or testing environment. It's all about testing. It could be bigger than a data center, bigger than a machine. It could be as small, basically it could be as big as data center as well. So there are certain times where you've been asked to deploy certain things on the like basically in a dev system, which is called a sandbox system. And then if everything goes well, your testing is fine, then you deploy the same into production. So look at this network topology. I'm not sure if everyone can see it. So yeah, so now think about this Ubuntu dev box. This is your jump host. what is happening? You will have access to this jump box, so that you can this jump box is Ubuntu jump box, which is basically a flavor of Linux. uh, I hope everyone is aware what exactly is Linux. We have so many operating systems currently into this world, where we have three major operating system. One of them is Windows, that I'm particularly using, which is by Microsoft. Then there is one more system called Linux, which is a open source system. There are multiple flavors available of Linux. We are going to talk about this, which is basically going to be our first topic, like choosing your operating system. And third is your Macintosh, basically Mac. That is also, everyone is aware, might be aware, Apple gives those Mac Pros or MacBooks machines. They have their own operating system, which is very similar to Linux. Basically, the base is again same, but operation based little bit differences there. So here you can say it's Ubuntu DevBox, basically Ubuntu Jump Host or Ubuntu Workstation, but it could be a Windows as well. It could be a Mac system as well, and it could be something. There are certain different operating systems available of Linux that we will talk about. It could be that as well. So does that answer your question? That you can have, which is exactly as having a Windows server or a Linux server, or basically it's need to be a server from where you can access multiple devices, and nothing is restricted for you, so basically you don't have to worry about troubleshooting the connectivity of the device, which is another reason why jump hosts are really useful, that you don't have to worry about your connectivity towards the devices. The devices are always reachable from the device, and then you can run multiple things from the same system, and you will never get stuck in terms of connectivity, so you can focus on the development part more. So let me know if I understood your question correctly, because I was actually trying to log into the to this portal, so I might not have got it correctly. So go on if you it if it has already answered your question.
Yeah, all sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So now you know what exactly is operating system. So what exactly we are trying to achieve here is, we are trying to bring that jump host to your machine. So what we are trying to say is, we are going to do something so that if a jump if a jump host exists somewhere, you don't want to log in from there. Let's bring that jump host to your machine, and let's start development from your machine itself. Why we need to do that? And let me just make it a little smaller. Yep. So now, why it is required? It is required because, remember, we had two developers. We had dev 1 and we had dev 2. Now dev 1 and dev 2, they stay in different time zone. This person lives in, basically, I'll take one example of this country called Munich, this basically state called Munich. And then we have this which is basically in I will use it a proper convention, which is EMEA zone. Okay, we have three different zones. uh, you can say four. We have a US zone, we have EMEA zone, and we have Asia Pacific zone, that we call APAC. In US we have two different zones. One is called US East, and we have US West. So so this is how different zone works, because they have, these zones are defined in terms of their time differences. So from the east to west, like farthest part, they have around 3 hours of difference. US to EMEA, APAC to EMEA, we have their own differences. Like basically, from US to APAC we have 2.5 hours, EMEA to APAC we have 4.5 hours, something like that. So why I'm talking about these time zones? Because why we need to collaborate, why we need to bring jump host to your own machine, because developer one is in EMEA zone, he lives in Germany, and this dev 2 basically is in Bangalore. Now when this person starts working, this dev Bangalore person starts working at 9 o'clock, 9 a.m., the time zone here is different. This, when it's 9 a.m. in India, it's 4 a.m. in Munich, or basically in Germany. So Munich might be +1, or some difference would be there, but just get the idea that they are around 4.5 years, 4.5 hours back. I'm just taking one example. So it's 4 a.m. here and it's 9 a.m. here. So they cannot work together. So what they do, they they go to a place. I will not tell you the name of that place, and basically it's a website, and they download their work from here, and then they say, then they look into it and they say, they see what is the status of project. So this place from where they download, this person, basically it's a, basically you can say in your own simple words, a folder, or in dev world it is called a repo, because this is a remote side of repo, so it is called a remote repo. We will name it more, we will go more specific to this remote repo thing, but understand the need of it. So now these two people wants to work on something. Now if they work from jump host, it's also doable. It's also doable completely, because they can log into same jump box and they can do things. But to work from their own machine gives them liberty to test the way they want, and without interrupting. Suppose a person doesn't have internet connectivity, proper internet connectivity. In that case, should that person stop working on those things? He should not be stopped working on those things. So a dev should have access to all the things, or all the project status that other person has done, and he should be aware the status of those things. So what we are doing here, we are going to build a basically we are going to bring the jump box to your machine, and that we are going to call as developer workstation. developer workstation Developer workstation. So now let me just make it a little bigger and make it just different color as well. Okay, this is better. So yeah, so we are going to do something like, we are going to understand something like developer workstation. So what exactly we are going to do? First of all, we need to understand that what we have. So we have a machine, we have a system, which is basically a Windows system. Windows system. Now, this Windows system has certain tools. This Windows system has certain applications that help you connect to the devices and do your work. So first thing that you have to understand while creating your own developer workstation is where exactly the end goal is going to be deployed. So what are you doing? So basically, like we discussed the task before, we are trying to make a dashboard for two different routers to see the parameters. Now, when we talk about these things, we do not talk about, when we talk about this dashboard, basically, this dashboard is not going to be only for these two devs. This is going to be for whole team, like maybe 500 people work as a network team, few into NOC, few into senior network management, and your leaders, your leadership also wants to make sure that they see whenever they want. So this dashboard is going to be for 500 people. So that means this cannot be just Windows specific. This cannot be. What if your executive level managers, they have been given Mac? That's always happens. They have the Mac system because they do not have a lot of technical things to do, and they do not need a lot of processing powers. Not that Mac does not have processing power, but in terms of smaller Macs, they can go for certain things which is does not require a lot of extensive use of basically extensive use of that machine. So if they have Mac, they should be able to see this. Third system is, what if there are team that doesn't know how to manage, you have an application development or a server team. They are basically managing or working on mostly on the Linux based system. So you have to take under consideration that when you are going to make a dashboard, you have to host it somewhere. So when you are going to host it somewhere, what that machine is going to be. So as per industry standard, not that you cannot host in a Windows machine or a Mac server. As an industry standard, we tend to take Linux flavored servers as your deployment system. deployment system. Now, why Linux-based deployment system? Why not Windows? First of all, we do not, so unless we need a really big system, we might not have to worry much about its its functionality. For example, we do have certain things called Linux and Linux Pro. So you do not need licensing for most of the time when you are working on some this small projects or deploying somewhere in deploying something like a dashboard. So Linux give you a lot of flexibility in terms of support. Linux give you a lot of flexibility in terms of license because it's an open source system. So you can deploy, you can download, and you can choose. There are a lot of versions available. For example, you will have a Linux desktop, and you can also have a Linux server. So what is difference between these two? So if I go back to the machine that I was showing you, there is that here. So here you see it's a dashboard. When it's a dashboard, basically it's a desktop, not dashboard. It's a desktop. That means just like you have Windows machine, I have certain things here. I have a repo folder. In the repo folder, we have packet coders, and then we have Git repos. So this repo is empty. So just like we access our Windows machine, same way we can access our Linux machine. I have this folder. Basically, this is how I work. I'm working on these projects. These projects that I'm working on I can see from here. And also, if I go here, and if I do ls, now see, I can also see the workspace here. If it is too small, just let me know. I will make it bigger. So don't shy away if you can't see it. Just say the word. So here, if you see the terminal, and color might be not that great right now, but I usually don't use terminal inside the desktop, but I'm just showing you. So what I was seeing here as a desktop, I can also see as a server part as well. So with Linux developer workstation, which is our first point, like choosing the right operating system to start creating it, is something where you choose Linux most of the time because of certain reasons. Like I said, you will have it's open source, and you will have a lot of control and flexibility while creating your Linux based basically your workstation. So how you should go about it, how to choose Linux based operating system for your network based testing? We do have one more option available, called which is also called where is that? Yeah, WSL. Anyone is aware what is WSL? Anyone? It's a very good option. Like, I'm not looking at anyone, so just Google it and you can answer it. It's not a bad thing, because when you Google something for the first time, because it's been asked, you remember it for
Windows
the
shell.
you are there, but it's not exactly thing. So basically, it's called Windows subsystem for Linux. What exactly is Windows subsystem for Linux? So, like I said, we tend to use Linux most of the time in our all production-based systems. What we want to do, we want to navigate the way we navigate in Linux. For example, let me log into that machine again. Now I can basically navigate wherever I want. I can see I have Ansible project, I am working on a Polemy project, this is Py project, this is Python project, I'm working on Terraform projects. So okay, let's go something in the Py projects, which is a Python project. So I'm working in the Py project now. Let me see what exactly I'm working on. All these project where I have a sim dash, I have the project, I have certain names, a lot of things are there. So but what if I have to go, and if you like look at this right now, Py projects, I can't see anything inside it, I can't navigate it. And here also, if you see here on the left side of it, it also shows you the way it shows in your machine here, home workspace. Basically, it's called your PWD. Anyone is aware what exactly is a PWD?
Present working directory.
Exactly. So you know where exactly you are. So the same way we want to use Linux system, but we do not have Linux system. So what Microsoft did, Microsoft, not I wouldn't say Microsoft decided to bring something in so that you can use your Windows system just like WSL. So you can activate it WSL here. You can just go here and you can just it's there. When I so there are certain limitations to it, there are certain things to it, we will discuss about it WSL, but for this session we are going to stick to the native system of Linux. Why this? Because this is the best practice. You should know how to deploy a Linux system and how to use Linux system better, because in the end when you are going to working as a production person in network automation, DevNet, or server administration, you are going to deal with Linux all the time. And all of you guys who are working as a network engineer in any at any level, you guys might be aware that everything that we are working upon in terms of devices, they are basically based upon Linux layer at some point of time. Whether it's Fortinet, whether it's your Palo Alto, whether it's your Juniper, somewhere they are related to Linux, where certain things that you should be aware about Linux. And also when it comes to production servers that you're going to work on, they are going to be Linux most of the time. There are people who use Windows servers, but when they use Windows server, they have their reason behind it. When they have no reason behind it and they have given a choice, Linux is the de facto choice, basically, I can say, where you just have to go and choose Linux. So here I'm not going to explain much about WSL. I will, if time persists, I will definitely explain WSL and how exactly you can see your Windows machine just like Linux machine, and how you can use the same thing without deploying Linux. But I would stick to installing, like I would recommend you to install Linux machine and work through it, uh, basically, so that you can understand how exactly a dev person works. Okay, any question here, anyone? So what exactly we are going to do? We are just going to understand, we just understood that the the first step in building your own developer workstation is choosing the OS, the operating system. So now we have chosen that Linux is going to be your choice of operating system. Now, when it is Linux, I would recommend you to, if anyone has Linux system, it's really good. If not, just like I said, just go here, download VMware player, then go to this website called ubuntu.com, ubuntu.com. And with ubuntu.com, maybe I'll accept it. Just go and get Ubuntu and download this machine. Download it and just install with the minimum system requirement. You won't have to worry much about system requirement.
मतलब कि क्या स्टार्ट करना है प्रपोजल में पूरा का पूरा भी एक्शन ही फाइंड
Could you
नहीं
please go on mute? Yeah. So I would recommend you to download this Ubuntu 20.0.4.lts and 23.10, one of those. I would recommend you to go for LTS. Anyone is aware what exactly LTS stand for? If not, this is the thing that you guys have to tell me in the next session. What exactly means LTS and why this one doesn't have LTS written here? That's a task for you for the next session when we are going to come next day. So if anyone is aware, feel free to answer me and stop me even if I'm speaking there. I would love to hear that. So install this on your machine. And once you have installed this, you have basically two options, desktop and server option. So what is the difference going to be? It is on the same version, 20.0.4. You can see the size is just 2 GB here. If you go to desktop, it's going to show you ISO image of 4.7 GBs. So when you have 4.7 GBs, so basically why it has more thing because it's going to install you a proper desktop system. It will have a Firefox, it will have a mail client, a lot of things. So it require more things to install. When it comes to server, it will just be a server, nothing else. No GUI, nothing. So, but is it going to be is it going to make a difference? No, it's not going to make a difference. uh, do I really prefer one of those two? I do prefer looking into having a desktop based things, because sometimes I do want to do certain things with Firefox or certain other applications inside the machine. So I prefer, I would recommend you to go for Ubuntu 64 bit, not basically 64 base is there already. You have to basically go and download this desktop image, and once you go and basically install it, and when you become a little bit intermediate or pro, you can just stick to server part and should be good, completely good. Both are free. It doesn't require any license, it doesn't require any single registration with credit card or debit card or whatsoever. It's just free for you to download and use it the way you want. Anyone, any question on how to install or how to choose, how to download? If anyone has any question, like you're not able to install it, or you're not able to create this into VMware machine, just let me know, we can cover that as well. But if you just go ahead with the way we install softwares, you can just look into any of those YouTube links how to install Ubuntu. You will just get it. It's just 10 to 15 minute task, which is something I'm sure you guys might have already done it in terms of installing a virtual machine within a hypervisor. If you have not done it, just let me know. So yeah, so where was I? So I was letting you know that we have done our first task, which was choosing the operating system, choosing the right operating system. And we are all on this agreement that we are going to use Linux in all cases for now. We will talk more about Mac and how exactly we can integrate Mac and other things. But for now, we all agree that we are going to use Linux. Now, what is the second part? Second part is choosing the right code editor. Choosing the right code editor. Now, what exactly is the editor? Now, if you go to just Google, so my idea of telling you this is here is you don't have to just remember everything I'm saying. You should be knowing that, okay, if I don't know this, how do I get to it without asking without any other help, without any supervision? You just go and search best, just like we do, best code editor, best code editor. You will get a list of it. So all code editors are the best code editors. There is no one can say, okay, this is the best one and this is the worst one. Why I'm saying this? Because everyone has their own preference of using or choosing a text editor. What exactly is a text editor? So let me show you. So
Can we
this
go with
is
VS Code?
exactly. So we can go with VS Code. We will go with VS Code because we have to choose one. We can use any one of them, but we have to choose what exactly is your editor, and how many types of editors are there, and how we exactly go for it. We have to choose one and we have to stick to it. And I will also tell you the reason behind choosing that particular editor, and then you can always change whenever the way you feel like. So like what we wanted a code editor. So we went and Google and searched best code editor, just like basic human being. Now you get so many websites, like everyone knows, Geek for Geeks is a website that gives you a lot of options, and I'm getting YouTube channel. So just click on the first one, like says best code editor. Let's see. So now best code editor, if you see, you will have Sublime Text, which I already have it. I'll show you in a minute. Then you will have Visual Studio Code. Yes, lot of codes. Now you will get confused. Okay, which one to use now? I don't want 20 different editors. So here is the answer. You use just one code editor for now. Later you can change it, which is called VS Code, basically Visual Studio Code, and it is available for all three operating systems. It is available for Mac, Linux, and Windows as well. All works exactly same without any differences. Now, why we need this? So one tip for you guys: don't believe what I say. Ask questions. I don't want to use VS Code. Why should I use VS Code? My system is going to hang. Exactly these things we say, right? I mean, we are going to install something on a machine. What if it has a bug? What if it has just a virus? What to do? Now, you should always remember, whenever we whenever we buy something, we choose something, what we do, we go and see reviews, right? We go to YouTube and say, oh, S24 Ultra, Galaxy AI, let's go and search. Okay, Galaxy AI does this, does that. Then you're going to spend your 1 lakh rupees for a phone. Same thing goes with your machine. And trust me, guys, your machine is your browser that you use for free has more value than your 1 lakh rupees phone. Why this? Because the data that they can get it from you is, you can say, priceless, I would say. So here, when it comes to Visual Studio Code, you first check who is creating Visual Studio Code. So it's Microsoft. Your machine is also Microsoft, like Windows based. So let's go with VS Code, and there are certain functions that VS Code provides you. And these things are, first thing, this is very much lightweight, very lightweight. It's take less than maybe 30 seconds to install. And also, when you start it, you will not feel it heavy. It will just start without any issues. Another thing that you should always consider as a developer, now we will not talk about as a network engineer, we are going to talk about as a developer. And we are going to say that network engineering, you have to take a back seat. Now we are giving front seat to development part right now. Now, when it comes to development part, you should always choose the right software. And how do you choose it? You choose with the support and the community support. For VS Code, we have, for example, if I say, I'll give you just one rough idea. Don't take it as a data point of view. Just understand that we do have certain other editors, and when it comes to community supports, the difference is more than 100 times. It's more than 100 times. So if the second best has one, the other one, the VS Code has 100 times more community support. What exactly is the benefit of community support? When it comes to benefit community support, you get more updates, you get different kind of extensions. I will explain what exactly is extension. And also, it also gives you lot of uh, lot of liberty to change things around. You don't have to stick to one type of things. You can customize it the way you want. So to answer you, step number 2, choose the code editor. How to choose that code editor? That code editor is going to be your VS Code for this 5-day session, where we are going to work specifically on VS Code. And I will also tell you what else you can use it. And if you want to change it, it's up to you how you want to change it. This session is going to be used, like basically taught upon only on VS Code. There's another one that if someone wants to use it or might be aware, it's called PyCharm. And there is one more benefit of VS Code, is it's completely free. With PyCharm, it's basically a freemium version of it. If someone is not aware what exactly is a word called freemium, it's basically something like brunch, where you do not having breakfast and you do not have you can have brunch and lunch together, called brunch. Same thing is goes with freemium, where you can have a free version, but you will not get all the support you want. Because if you want more things, you can have to go to premium. Basically, it's just letting you use certain basic things, and more than that you cannot. Basically, if you want to use more, you just have to pay for it. So that's another reason for me to tell you that, use VS Code, and you won't have to look back in terms of PyCharm. You might meet few people saying that, oh, PyCharm is really good and it just changed my life. It's okay. VS Code does the same thing, nothing else, nothing extra. It's just let you execute Python code and let you test. That's it. Nothing else. It's not going to cook food for you. None of them. So you're good. That's it. So now where we were looking into developing our workstation, so that we can develop codes, we can develop softwares, and then the task. We have two software, two routers. Don't forget the task, because we are going to revolve around this. We are going to log into two routers. We are going to get show version, and we are going to get the version number. We are going to get show version, and we are going to get the uptime of that device, and we are going to display that on the dashboard. So this task we are going to do for next 5 days, and that is going to be agenda of it. I'm going to share the code, that code that we are going to write, and I'm going to write this code from scratch. Uh, I will also tell you how exactly you do not write code from scratch. And as a network dev person, I would say never write a code from scratch. Always have a template ready, make things change there, and then you go for it. It's like it's like it's like having a basic base layer ready, and then you just add things out. Just like we have this pizza that we get, right? Pizza base. We have the base, adding, and then get set. So now code editor part is done. We know that we are going to use VS Code. Why we are going to use? It's open source thing, open source, and also it's very lightweight. Then yeah, go on, ask the question, Ellen.
Yeah, for the code editor, so I'm gonna install the Linux for the Linux, right?
So because okay, so that's really good question. That's really good question. So now there are two ways to do it. That's really good question. Now, if I go here, so here comes that actually I was going to the third part, and I'm very glad that you asked this question. Now, if you see this, if I go and search VS Code, and you see we have VS Code, and in VS Code we have, it's available for all three. So now choice is yours. How you want to connect it? Okay, choice is yours. Now, why should I say it if I can show it, right? So now I have this machine here. This is a Windows, this is a Linux machine. And guys, look here, because this is how you are going to connect all the time. And I was going to talk about the extension part of it, and that is another benefit of. Okay. Oh, don't hate me, man.
So your caps is on.
Yeah. Weird. I just logged in a few minutes back. Okay, so I will restart it. It's really old machine for me, so something might be there of it. So I will restart it. So the point here is that I want to tell you is you have two options. When you create a virtualized machine in this hypervisor where you have this workstation and you have a machine there, you have two choices. Either you work through the machine, means you the same place where you have this setup, where you have this setup, same place uh, you install VS Code, and then you work through it. Another option that you have is, I'll tell you as soon as it starts, I'll tell you. Another option is that here is you can just go to VS Code, okay, and you guys can see my screen, right? I hope there is no disturbance with the screen.
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, so here what you can do, there is certain things called extension. So when you're going to install VS Code, you are going to see certain things on the left, certain things on the right. So when I work, I prefer to see things on the right side. When you install for the very first time, it's going to look like this. It's going to look something like this. Let me just zoom it up a little bit. It's going to look something like this, where you have things on the left side, but the way I prefer working is I prefer working them as on the right side due to certain reasons, because when you write code, you do not have a lot on this part, but you have a lot on the left part. So sometimes I don't like left scrolling. It's again your way of working it. It's again your way of doing things. It's up to you. You can bring it down. You can bring it anywhere you want, like left, right, top, down. It's up to you. So here the idea is there is one thing called extension. So my third point was, when you have chosen this editor, third point is to find right extension. What exactly is extension? So extension is just like an app, just like you have phone and you have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have a lot of different apps. Don't say that I don't have it. I'm just taking an example. I'm just saying you have multiple apps to do certain things. Here you can have multiple extensions to do that. what exactly extension means. Now, currently, if you see, I'm clicking here. Example.tx. Let me see if my machine is on. Yeah, my machine is on. Now, to show you what exactly this thing is, it has this extension called Remote Explorer. Remote Explorer. What does Remote Explorer do? It lets you connect to your machine or your Linux terminal from your base machine. What exactly is base machine? Suppose you are using Windows. You can see my photo is there. This is my Windows machine. I'm using all those things, but I have a Linux machine inside that, right? I have a Linux machine there. So what exactly I can do is I can just go click on connect in new window. And I hope my password works here. Now, my machine is now see here, opening to remote. As soon as remote is opened here, it's going to work exactly as your Linux terminal. So to answer a question, where you should install VS Code, you should install VS Code on your base machine. Why you should install on your base machine? Because that gives you a lot of flexibility, and also it can let you connect to multiple machines. For example, if you're working on a deployment for 3 different kind of operating systems, and you have installed and you need to connect to, okay, let me show you. Here I have 106.137, 135, 128. I have 3 different host machines connected. What if I want 128 for Linux, for Ansible based project creation? I want 135 for something else. Maybe 135 is something for maybe Docker based developments. So I can have 3 different systems. I can connect remotely to any of them or all of them at one go. When you install something, when you install VS Code inside this, you might not get that kind of freedom to connect to them. You can connect it, but again, you have to look into a lot of aspects of how the traffic is going. And trust me, virtualization, if it comes to virtualization, you do have to have this understanding of how a vSwitch is working, how exactly these NICs are basically communicating with each other. So to avoid all these things in beginning, you are going to install this piece of software, which is your code editor, on your base machine. For example, I installed here. I'm going to search here VS Code, and you can see VS Code is here. So everyone will install VS Code on your base machines. Everyone will install VMware on the base machine, VMware player. And on the VMware player, you are going to install your Ubuntu machine. And as soon as Ubuntu machine is there, I will let you know how to connect through Remote Explorer. And then once you are connected through Remote Explorer, it will look like something like this. Like this. Now, how do I know it's the same machine? Like, no, don't trust me. Never trust anyone. Let me do it. ls-l. Same place. Everyone is remember. Workspace was there. CD workspace. ls-l. Remember everyone? I was working on different type of projects like Pulumi and this Ansible and TF projects and all those things. Still there. That's another reason why VS Code is widely used, because the kind of extension support it has, it's it's like, you know, what you call beyond your thinking. It has so many things that a lot of other basically a lot of other IDEs, they are called IDEs, or development editors, they are basically lacking. So it has remote SSH, and it has a lot of different other uh, applications. It also has WSL. That's how I was going to tell you how exactly you can WSL to use WSL in the same piece of software. So these are things called, so this was a third thing that we were discussing. After we have chosen the OS, we have chosen the code editor. Now inside the code editor, we have to find out extensions. Now, what exactly is extension? I explained you, but there are certain extensions that we are going to use it going forward. And these extensions, I know it's we are on the top of the hour. I'll just finish here with the extension, and then we can take up in the next session. So here with this extension, what is the difference? Let me show you the difference here. you should understand the difference. You should not only accept the difference. You should say, okay, you are right. This is something that, that makes sense. I'm going to use it. If that doesn't make sense, let me know and we will not use it. Trust me, we will not use it. Now, I'm going to open a folder here. I'm going to same workspace folder. I'm going to do okay here. Okay. It asks for the password again, just to make sure that you are human, not a robot or other things. It's like, you just want to make sure that it's you. That's it, not robot thing. So here I'm going to create a folder. I'm going to call it as net DevOps. This is trust me guys, just 5 more minutes and you should be I will just leave you guys. So I'm just going to write something like test.py. So did you see that as soon as I wrote test.py, it converted into Python symbol. Now I'm going to do something different. I'm going to write something test dot. Now I'm going to hit enter. It has converted into a Y format, correct? Now let me show you one more. It's like magic, right? Now see, I'm going to do something like test dot JSON. As soon as you just now see, these are all 3 test files, but are the same? They're not. But why we have 3 different symbols? Because these 3 are 3 different types of file that are used for different purposes. I do have planned a session where we are going to understand the most important aspect of software engineering or development or whatever you call it. It's called data formatting, and you have to understand why it is most important part before we go through anything. So here, what you have to understand is we have different extensions. We install those extensions from here. And as soon as we install from here, you will find that particular file in their own part and we can use it. Why you want to use it, where you want to use it, we will all discuss about it, and we will not go through until we understand and agree upon that. Okay, yeah, you are right. That's why we are using it. And as soon as you go and install extensions, they come here. Like I have Docker, I have Terraform, I have Kubernetes, I have Ansible, I have GitLens, and I will explain what exactly is GitLens and Postman and all those things. But in the end, you should understand that what exactly is extension. Extensions are just plugins that are making our life easy, that is going to help you understand the type of file you're going to use, that is going to help you make a better developer when it comes to writing softwares. Do we really need a IDE or basically this? No, you do not need. You can always go to your native thing. You can do a, if I'm doing it still right, because it's been, oh, sorry. I don't use Linux all the time. So yeah, so we are here. Now, if I see Python, I'm still not sure if it's going to work because it's been some time. Okay, so let me show you on the next part because that's where that's what I'm saying. We feel more comfortable on certain system and we tend to use it. So let me go to that machine. Okay, why should I go to machine when I have machine here? So now Python 3 hyphen version, it's giving you the version of Python. We will talk more about it, why exactly this is 3.10, how to install different versions, how to install different things. So that will come into picture as soon as we develop our workspace, like basically our um, developer workstation. But here we are trying to understand that we have extensions that are just like plugins, that are just like small softwares that are going to help you distinguish your test files, so that whenever you see the same thing or different things, you should know that .py is a script, .yaml is a dataset, .json is a dataset, and when you also write them, you can do certain things. We'll talk more about this. Is very interesting when we are going to talk about this data formats, that why exactly we have extensions made for these things. And as a network engineer, we are going to talk about this thing called Better Jinja, where we are going to use it extensively to create templates. So I will also discuss the use cases along with this thing. Um, but for now, we are going to end our session with these two topic discussions. One of them was we have chosen the correct OS, we have chosen the correct code editor. Now, in the code editor, we understood that we have extensions, and these extensions are basically really good to have because they make our life really easy. We are going to understand more about them as we go further into this development part of it. We are going to develop one small script, just one small script, and to see how exactly it works. And I hope that developing this should give you this understanding towards this thing where you should say, yeah, we really need to understand the development part because it's going to make our life easy. And it's not about market trend, it's all about this is required going forward, where we are going towards ML, we are going towards AI, how exactly we can a network engineer can be. I basically try to call it a full stack network engineer, where you should know a full stack. Basically, you know SD-WAN part of it, you know MPLS part of it, you should know Linux part of it, and you should also know the development part of it. So we have done on the three parts here. We do have two more things to discuss before going to the second session that we will do tomorrow. Today it took more time because we were more into the beginning of sessions, and I was trying to, I was just making you guys ready for to be here for 2 hours. That's it. That's the only reason. I'm very biased on this. Just kidding. So here I'm just sitting, like closing the session. We will discuss more on tomorrow. Anyone, any question?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, like, how can
Yeah.
I see it on the right side of the panel, but we'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll do tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow. I would recommend everyone to do certain things. Number one thing that you have to do is download and install Linux on your machine. So I don't want to build a system on my machine because I already have it. I can build and I can show you as well. But I want to help one person. That person should share screen. I will tell you what to do. It's going to be a collaborative session while we create a developer workstation, because tomorrow we do not have lot to discuss in terms of theoretical part. We will create one developer workstation in 20 minutes of time, and I would suggest that everyone should follow along, because when you follow along, that helps. And sometimes few people might have issues related to setting things up. I can help you there as well. So tomorrow, first task, download VMware Player, download Ubuntu 20.04.04 LTS, find out what exactly LTS means. Fourth thing, also find out your download this remote this VS Code, because we discussed about VS Code. And once you install and everything, explore a little bit more towards uh, this thing, basically your extensions. And there is one thing I would say here is I want I was preparing something few time back, but I will share with you, so that might help you with your preparation. I know I'm taking more time. So I did something like uh, few months back. Um, and then I was writing something about what exactly I prefer and other things. So I have written something that I've been following myself, and I'm going to share with you guys. So when you are going to prepare this, you think you can just refer it, and then it's a blog which is basically a work in progress thing. But you will get certain links from here. You will get certain which like things to explore, and also you will know what exactly we are basically going to explore further. So I'm just pasting this link in chat. And okay, Tridip, I just saw your message now. I'm very sorry. You said I can't hear you, and I was not looking at the chat. I'm very sorry for that.
Sir, one thing I want to ask.
Yeah.
Sir, I am not very much familiar with this VM player. You said that I have to install VS Code on my local machine.
Let me tell
So,
you. Yeah.
so what about the Ubuntu? Ubuntu I have to install on hypervisor thing or on
Okay,
this?
let's do it this way. Let's do this way. Download VMware Player. Just see, can you see my screen right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So task number 1, download VMware Player. Okay. Number 2, download Ubuntu. Everyone seeing the chat? Number 3, download VS Code. 3 things to do that. I mean, just don't mind the spelling of third download. Just download these things. These 3 things you download. Tomorrow, I will help you set up everything. You don't need to do anything. Just download VMware Player, Ubuntu, and VS Code, and we are going to do from there. Everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
also,
yeah.
Also, I was curious about the router since you said that we need two router.
Yeah. So how are we gonna do it? Like I said, so let's do it more efficient way. Again, you're going to ask me questions. I'm gonna answer all the questions. So hear me out for 5 more minutes. So I know it's very late. I'm gonna show you something, because like I said, don't trust me. Just trust on things that you can see. So here I was showing you something like sandbox. I will tell you how to access sandbox. Here, can you see there is this sandbox I said searched? It says always on. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Always on. That means, what does that mean? That means this device is always on. It's always on for you to use, and it's a Cisco Catalyst 8K virtual device, which is iOS XE based. How to log into that? You have to click on that duration, select, and once you are done selecting, launch it. Let me launch it. So that was again my agenda, to show you that how exactly you can minimize the load on your machine and maximize your development production, because this is how developers work. They do not bring load to their system. They try to find out one small instances, they work on this, and then they test on the bigger systems. I will tell you more about it. And here is your username and password. People say, right, don't share username and password, but you can just get it from there. Should I copy paste here on the chat thing? So we will talk about it. If you don't need to note anything. The thing that I'm going to tell you, that we have 2 routers and we are going to connect them and we are going to see all those dashboard and all those things. I'm going to use these routers. I do have a proper lab setup with EVE, NG, and GNS3 and other things. If anyone is interested, I can show you that as well, but it's not required. It's not required. You're going to work as a developer. You should understand how to access the devices. They are hosted somewhere, hosted by someone else, and then you do not have lot of control over those things. So it's going to be really interesting when we are going to log into the devices and other things. We will not talk about RESTconf and netconf and grpc and all, but I will tell you a simple script to do that dashboard task thing. Maybe if you have just 1 router, we can do for 1 router. If you have more than 1 router, we can do for 2. But you will get this idea. We do have 2 routers. So one is iOS XE, one is iOS XR. We'll make something out of it. We'll get something done. Okay. Anyone, any other question?
No, all good. Thank you.
All good. Any questions on that, why we are doing it? And any question on anything, any random question? Feel free to say it. Feel free to ask, because this is how you learn when you talk. Because you know one personal experience I want to tell, that there are certain in past I have been to sessions where I thought, okay, I'll watch this recording, but it never works. Trust me, guys, it never works. If you are doing it and following along, you're going to get it done, because in the end we are going to have a lot of sessions recorded, but we are not going anywhere, because it's very difficult to just go there and finish things off. So I would recommend everyone to done these 3 things, download these 3 things. We will finish our developer workshop, this station setup within 20 minutes, and then we will jump on Git part. Okay, because that was the idea where I was going to ask you guys to download and get it done so that I can tell you Git installation, Z shell, and how exactly virtual environment is set it up, so that next will be Python and all those things. So any more questions?
I just want to see like if you can create the WhatsApp or something group. It's easier to collaborate because once you put your chat or in anything here, it's gone. So
I'll see
that's
what we can do about it. I'll definitely see what
sure,
we can do about it. Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Okay. So with that, I will let you guys go and have dinner. I'll stop sharing my screen now.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much
And
for
if you have any questions, it doesn't matter that if you have covered it and you have got some questions, come back tomorrow with your questions, send it to me, and do the blog that I sent you. I mean, it's just work in progress, but you can still get an idea that what we are going to follow along. So if you have any doubts about it, do visit that, and also keep your questions and ask as many questions possible. None, like I would say, the more you ask, the better you'll become. That's how development works. And thank you guys. Thanks for joining. Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Bye.